when we talk about women empowerment, it arises from an economic empowerment and education as the two fundamental things. And it is the spread of education which has helped the women empower themselves and consequently economic empowerment. Law changes, of course, there are areas of subject where law has changed in succession under Hindu law and many others. But that is the second impetus, if I may say so. And the first remains the opportunity to them to be able to excel in the field. Taking a little example from my own profession, a lot of people raise this issue that why is the lack of women presence in the judiciary? The last interviews I held for subordinate judiciary in Delhi, the number of women recruited was 73%, 27% were men. The presence of women in almost all across the country now, the report says about 38% in the judiciary, in the subordinate judiciary. The only reason why in the higher judiciary there are less is because somebody should have been a lawyer or joined the bar 25 years ago to be able to where he is. So give another 10 years and I think you may need some reservation for men. I don't think you need reservation for women on this account. The recognition which you give today celebrates the indomitable spirit of women and have broken barriers, defied odds, and reshaped our world with their courage, vision, and resilience. We gather not just to applaud achievements, but to recognize the transformative power with all of you wield, coupled with Aalekh Foundation's unwavering commitment to the cause through initiatives like skill training, self-help groups, healthcare access, and education for women and girls. All of the awardees are undoubtedly flag bearers in what I would call a collective journey towards gender equality and social justice. As a judge, compassion and furthering the dispensation of even-handed justice are two precepts that I held fundamental to my approach to law while on the bench. I am glad to see this and rather particularly moved that the Aalekh Foundation's embodiment of these principles through consistent, unwavering efforts, be it providing vocational training under the Project Prabha, fighting malnutrition, offering scholarships for girls, or driving the cervical cancer awareness. These are not just programs. They are lifelines that empower women to dream bigger, live healthier, and lead with confidence. The Foundation's work in a climate change, water conservation, and digital literacy further underscores the need of solving humanity's greatest challenges. As we celebrate today, I believe we must also reflect on the work ahead. Despite progress, millions of women and underprivileged still face barriers, be it lack of access to education, healthcare, or economic opportunities. There is a pressing need to continue to amplify their voices, dismantle systematic inequalities, and create space where they can strive and thrive. To the young women here, know this, your potential is limitless. Draw inspiration from these awardees and never let anyone dim your light. I congratulate the Aalekh Foundation for the tireless effort and for organizing this inspiring event. To the awardees, your achievements are clear and call for all to take action. Together, we can build a future where equality is not dream but a reality. On a personal note, I would say, recently I was asked in one of the interviews, they did a fastest finger first to tell me what judgment or judgments would you rate as your personal achievements. Since the artist here, first I rated in terms of sequence of MF Hussein's judgment. I said it helped me recognize something in close to my heart, followed with Perumal Murugan's on the author's right. But something which has been close to me was the issue of the Permanent Commission of Women in the Armed Services, which I dealt with first in the High Court. I had endeavored to persuade the government law officers to agree to it, but unfortunately, they were in terms bound by their instructions, and this could not work out, which led me to writing the judgment. And fortunately, it went right up to the Supreme Court, which expanded its contours further. Today, that's not a question raised. And the issue then was only whether women in the same service, having better career records, should not get more than 15 years of service, because at 20 years you get pension, and that was the impediment. Today, you're talking about pilots, even fighter pilots, different armed services, how they are doing. So each one of them is a forward movement. The right to privacy was something which again we tried to unanimously expand. On the issue of marriage in the same sex, we were not in a majority, but I'm always hopeful that each one of these is a step forward. And there are times when social changes take place. Social changes are not easy sometimes to get through. Law sometimes changes and results in social change. Sometimes the social changes in turn results in law change. This is one of the avenues which must work in that direction. And I'm hopeful as that was a journey I began at my initial stage of career as a judge. Because in the first few months, I heard the decriminalization issue. We had a path thereafter which took a few years to achieve. I'm sure this will be another path as the society changes, as the government's approach changes, things will come to a different path. In closing, I borrow from Maya Angelou's celebrated poem, Still I Rise, which by me perfectly personifies the event, Aalekh Foundation, and all the esteemed awardees, and I quote, "Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, and I rise." Thank you, and congratulations once again to all the remarkable women being honored today.